let me think. Okay, firstly I'd say everyone, a surprising amount of people have advice for you, and my advice would be you don't need to listen to their advice. A lot of people will give you clippings from newspapers with sort of miracle cures, and just, you know, read it or don't read it. But what I'd take away from that is that the people who are giving you these clippings, they want to be able to do more for you, and they can't. So that's this sort of surrogate emotion is coming through, which is always, when I first started getting them, I was like, oh, I'm so annoyed. Why are people sending me these clippings from like the Daily Mail and like telling me to eat quinoa or like, you know, go to bed hugging an avocado or something, and it's because they can't do anything else for you. And that was that's been really moving to understand that. So one of the things I felt at the beginning of this, when I was diagnosed, that I felt I should try and become an expert. And I did try to become an expert, and it was the biggest mistake I could have made, because something particularly with MS, which is so variable, you have to learn to understand the form of the disease that you're going to get yourself. And if you become an expert, you end up looking at the absolute the entire constellation of symptoms, and that is a giant constellation. And inevitably you start to think, well, all of this stuff is going to happen to me. And a lot of it is really deeply unpleasant. My MS nurse gave me the best advice I'd ever you could hope for, which is, she just said that you will become the expert on your own disease over time. No one else will ever be an expert on your particular form of MS, because no one else will ever have that particular form. But it does take time for that to emerge. I still think I'm still learning the limits of my current version of MS, and of course MS is constantly changing, so 10 years from now I'm going to have to relearn what it is to have it. But yeah, I think that sort of taxonomical impulse I had was about the worst thing you can do, the sort of like to set the parameters of it and to go, oh, MS is going to be this and this is what I'm in for. That was a big mistake for me, and I think it's almost best to go in slightly speculative, like where is this leading? And that's actually, I'm quite a nervous, anxious person, and a lot of things which make me anxious are my own projections of what the future is going to hold. You know, that kind of catastrophizing impulse of like, well, if this happens, then all of these things are going to happen, and then I'm going to end up there, which is generally like in prison for something. And it's quite nice to, MS, one of the few good things about it is it does sweep all that away. It says you're not in charge of this. You don't really know what's going to happen from one minute to the next. And actually, there are moments when that's quite a good way of looking at things. Obviously, when you're a parent and you have to get your kid to school and you have to kind of make sure that you can stay employed so that everyone can, you know, it's not great to be sort of freewheeling Bob Dylan walking down the street and not sure what's going to happen to you. But there is something, by my 30s, I think the sort of scaffolding of belief of that was towering over me, my own life, what it was going to be and what it was quite nice to actually wipe that all away, because it was starting to loom a bit too heavily.